Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we've got the pleasure of watching Biceps87, who I believe is Polish, playing in the Tier 7 American heavy tank, the T29. Now I feel this vehicle is one of the best tanks tier for tier in the game. I think it was the second ever Tier 7 heavy tank that I got, after my first one being the Tiger. And when I picked up this vehicle, I fell in love with American tanks. I fell in love with gun depression. I fell in love with fantastic turret armor. And talk about fantastic turret armor, how about 279mm of turret armor on the front of this vehicle? Combine that with 10 degrees of gun depression, pretty much top tier in the game. There are very few vehicles that have above 10 degrees of gun depression, and you have an absolute monster. Oh wait, I kind of forgot that this isn't the slowest of tanks. Fair enough, its specific power ratio is not incredible, it's just under 12.5. Its ground resistances at least aren't disastrous. The vehicle isn't going to be bombing it around like some of the faster heavy tanks, especially like the French heavy tanks, and even arguably like some of the German heavy tanks. At least I feel that the Tiger does feel a little bit more nippy than the T29. But when you get that turret armor in location, and you have this 105mm main armament with 2.3 seconds aim time, over 200mm of penetration on its standard rounds, and 320 alpha damage, which really kind of bridges the gap between the Tiger that we see shooting Biceps here, with its 240 alpha damage on its 88mm, and towards the IS level with the 122mm guns where you have 390 alpha damage. Now Biceps blocked the Cromwell there a little bit, which was a fraction disappointing, but I can understand what he was trying to do. He really wanted to take the inside corner here, as he shuts down the T3485, punishing him for coming round, and it looks like those two really wanted to kill the Cromwell, not bother shooting this T29, so Biceps definitely takes advantage of that. And the reason why he wants to take the inside corner here is that while the T29 has fantastic turret armor, its hull armor isn't the best. It's not terrible, but especially if you give up the inside of this tank, your opponents could quite often track you and lock you in place. Wow, some nice artillery support there on the Rudy, and so that means that he doesn't feel so comfortable about coming around the corner now, and that allows Biceps to isolate this Cromwell, who seems to be getting a bit stuck on his dead allies here. Will Biceps be able to come around and take out the Cromwell? No, instead he focuses the Rudy. A swing, and it wasn't a miss. The commander said that one bounced. Did he really bounce off the backside of that Rudy? What a disaster there. But he comes around the corner and starts punishing the Tiger. Definitely a tank that he wants to start taking some chunks out of. So now Biceps and his team are in a bit of a pincer location here. And this Cromwell decides to do something very aggressive. And Biceps is like, oh no you don't. And turns his attention back towards the KV-1, who I think just bounced a heat round off Biceps with the little derpy gun there. Biceps finishes off the KV-1, and not a moment too soon, because in fact the Tiger managed to break through and take out the Tiger on his team, and I believe another vehicle who was supporting the Tiger. And so Biceps has done a great job by taking out 4 tanks in a row. Fair enough, not the highest tier vehicles, but he really needed to deal with them, because as I mentioned, while the T29's armor frontally is rather good, and if you can keep the enemies from flanking you, you can really go a long way with the hull armor that the tank has, especially against lower tiered vehicles such as this. But as soon as you start to get outnumbered in this tank, you find that you've got less than 1,700 DPM with the 105mm, and it starts to get rather awkward. Now, do you know one thing that's absolutely bizarre about this game? Is that Biceps actually started this with only 28 rounds of ammunition in his tank. Can you believe somebody just subscribed to me while I'm making a YouTube video? That's pretty awkward. That doesn't usually happen. So Biceps started this game with only 28 rounds of ammunition, which is absolutely bizarre because in fact the T29 can take 63 rounds of 105mm ammunition, which is more than enough usually to kill the entirety of the enemy team. However, taking less than half of his optional allocated amount of ammunition, I guess because it's quite expensive. The standard rounds on this tank costing exactly 1,000 credits, and obviously the premium one's going to be about 4,000 credits. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. So maybe Biceps couldn't have afforded to resupply that. Most likely 60 to, depending on how many premium rounds he takes, 100,000 credits of ammunition to do the full resupply. Which is bizarre though, because he's not a new T29 player. Look at that, he's got 2 stars on his gun barrel. So I have no idea what he was thinking there. Unfortunately for him, he is a heavy tank stuck on the hill, and the enemies have taken the lower ground, killed every single one of his 14 allies, and now Biceps finds himself in a 1 versus 6 situation, including having a T29 on the enemy team who seems to be an equal match for him here. He's on 4 kills, Biceps is on 6 kills. We're going to have to find out who is going to be the top dog this game. So, Biceps needs to think about rushing immediately towards the cap circle. And as I mentioned, the T29, it's certainly not the fastest of tanks, but it's not a very, very slow heavy. 35 kilometers an hour should allow him to be able to get there quickly. Where did that Tiger go? I'm pretty sure, considering that Biceps was in this location and made his way around here, that the Tiger probably drove straight off the hill or maybe followed Biceps round and went this way. So he could encounter the Tiger, and it's very important in these situations that you're always thinking about what tank you're likely to encounter next. And if your team provides you with a little bit of help saying, oh, maybe the Panzer IV is a one-shot, the VK302M, oh, he's going to require you to shoot him twice. So if you can feed players useful information like that in these kind of situations, I'm sure it'll definitely be appreciated. So Biceps is making his way now towards the cap circle. He's got 30 seconds left. It looks like somebody just left the cap circle, which is a little bizarre. I guess they're going hunting the lone T29, feeling very confident. But Biceps punishes the Comet, and the Panzer IV-H, I think he ricochets an AP round? 410 alpha damage? Does that mean that that was a high explosive round? I'm a little bit confused about that round that did hit Biceps' tank there. However, a ricochet is a ricochet. Looks like he is indeed firing high explosive rounds as it hits his track, does a very lowly 13 damage. Quite likely that he's using high explosive rounds there on the 105mm derpy gun that the Panzer IV-H, and Biceps turns the 1 vs 6 into a 1 vs 4. Now he bounces the VK, 135 damage there, and also manages to sneak a shot in around the corner. But oh my gosh, the artillery is coming round to try and catch Biceps by surprise. Have that, you nasty little self-propelled gun, shutting him down and now reducing into a 1 vs 3. But all of the low tier tanks have been dealt with. Now Biceps has to deal with 2 top tier heavy tanks and a tier 6 medium. And there's that T29 that we were talking about. 4 kills on that T29, and talking about 4, Biceps only has 4 rounds of armor-piercing ammunition left before he's going to have to dip into his high-explosive rounds. He is electing to fire APCR rounds here. Now he ricochets the T29 and proceeds to push around the corner. Now the T29 doesn't have the best rate of fire. Is he going to be able to reload in time? Wow. Great judgment there by Biceps, probably something that I wouldn't have done, but in retrospect, thinking about the fact that he's outnumbered now, it was the perfect thing to do. You need to quickly push out, take your opportunities, and stop your opponents before they manage to flank you, and good thing he dealt with that T29 quickly, otherwise the VK would have flanked him, and most likely the Tiger too. The Tiger is on 606 hit points. That means that Biceps is quite likely to only have to shoot him twice, so he needs to penetrate both of these AP rounds now to remove the remaining Tier 7 German heavy tank. This location absolutely beautiful for a T29, working that ridgeline using your good turret armor. Now he has to be guessing that the Tiger is coming around the corner. There he is. Please shoot the tracks. Biceps only has 225 hit points left. He can't take another shot from the Tiger. Oh, he just tracks him. That's it. Come on, come on, come on. Shut down. 12 kills, Kolobanov's medal, and 4,800 damage, with Biceps handling 2 top-tier heavy tanks on the enemy team. Also the Comet. Do you know what? He killed most of the enemy team. We can run down the entire list of vehicles he took out. What a fantastic round here for Biceps on Himmelsdorf, in probably, in my opinion, one of the best tanks tier for tier in the game. Oh, and finally, before we take a look at the post-game stats, if you're wondering how to deal with a T29 frontally, and I'm sorry all T29 drivers out there, shoot the machine gun port. While most of the tank over the front has 100mm of frontal armor, including a little bit of extra for these tracks here, the machine gun port only has 70mm of armor, and it's very flat as well if you shoot it from the front. And also, if you shoot it from the side here, it's very flat as well. This is your ticket to being able to penetrate the T29 with pretty much any tier 5 tank with its standard ammunition. So Biceps picks up a plethora of hero medals, the one that everyone wants, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against at least 5 opponents, in this case 6. He also gets the Pools medal for his 12 kills, a Steel Wall medal, and what kind of a Steel Wall medal was this? Well, not the best, 1,865. You know what, I've used the T29 to complete some of the hardest heavy tank missions in the game, the ones that require you to bounce 3 times your hit points, and if you do try to use the T29 to do that, I do recommend taking off the top turret so you have 100 less hit points, which makes it slightly easier. He also gets a high caliber medal for his near 5,000 damage done, which is phenomenal for a tier 7 tank, and just secures an all-round fantastic victory, totally carrying his team against all odds. And the only tip I can really give to Biceps is to maybe take a few more rounds of ammunition in your tank next time, buddies, so things don't get quite so tight. So Biceps, thank you so much for uploading this awesome replay to share with the community on what replays. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys did as well. If you did, please consider giving this video a like. And also, if you're watching this video as it's released, I am live streaming right now with jingles. We're also going to be giving away a bonus code that will give you more experience in game for the EU server, the NA server, and it was just confirmed also the Asia server. So hopefully I'll see you shortly on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.